if you're upset, it means you care. And like there's two choices. Either you can run towards it or run away from it. And we know what happens when you run away from it, right? You're just recoiling and you're hiding and you're kicking the can down the road.
I have an admission today, and it's a little uncomfortable, but I thought, being here with you, it always feels safe to kind of open up and share with people who are tuning in. So, you ready to hear me out?
I'm ready. Give it to me, baby.
All right. So, you're married, you're co-parenting, you've got a partnership. So I'm guessing you're going to understand this. Sometimes you get feedback from your partner
No.
about,
Do you?
yeah, I know. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just hold it all in and you eat it. Me. But anyway, no, we really do. We try to very kindly, and it's taken a lot of practice, and we're just going to have to keep practicing over the years. But sometimes I get feedback because we all have our blind spots. Isn't that right, Adam?
No doubt.
And I will tell you what, it really bothers me sometimes. Like really, really bothers me. At first, when this first started happening in my adult life, I would get my feelings really hurt. I would lash out. I'd get angry. I'm happy to report that most of the times now I can just take a beat, take a breath, maybe take a few breaths, maybe take a few minutes, maybe take a day. And I can sit with those feelings. And I realized I thought this would be a great time to discuss accountability a little bit and what hurt feelings, because that's ultimately what it was, right? I was feeling like my feelings were being hurt, if I'm being honest, and
Yeah.
that feels hard to admit. But yeah, so like I would get feedback from him about something I did or a choice I made in parenting our children that we co-parent. And I would get my feelings hurt. And so I thought we could talk about why this happens and how it's actually, how to understand why it happens, what's actually happening, and what to do about it. Are you game?
I'm game. I appreciate you sharing. I totally get it. Can I piggyback off that story or what you shared?
Yeah, please do.
So first off, shout out to my mom, because growing up, sometimes she would tell me what I needed to hear, even if I didn't want to hear it. And now as a parent, I realize sometimes it's hard to tell your kids what they need to hear because it can easily disrupt the mood. It can disturb the peace. They're unfortunately, or whatever it is, they're just going to be uncomfortable hearing it. I mean, it's tough, especially as a kid, to get feedback, right? And there's been times where I just like, I won't say anything. But it's like, they're my kids. They need to know certain things. My job is to parent them. And recently I told one of them something, and he's like, "You're ruining my mood." And I said, like, no one ruins your mood. You can only ruin your own mood. And it was because I told him something that I felt he needed to hear. It is my responsibility, I feel, as a parent, to tell him certain things. Obviously, there's always a time, there's always a place, there's always a way you say it. But even so, it's still never easy to hear some things that you need to hear.
Right.
And he's like, "You're ruining my mood." And that's part of like, the peace that I knew I was going to disrupt. And I said again, like, no one can ruin your mood. Only you can ruin your mood.
Adam, are you telling me only I can hurt my own feelings?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because like clearly what I told him struck a chord. And
Yeah.
I followed up with that. I'm like, "Hey, I said something totally ridiculous. And, I'm like, hey, if I just said like, you're showing purple, or like I said something like just that didn't make any sense. I'm like, I'm like, you're showing purple. I made something up about him that was so ridiculous that didn't make any sense." And he goes, What are you talking about? I'm like, that's my point. Those words that I just said meant nothing because they didn't bother you. They didn't upset you. They didn't trigger you. And what I said before clearly struck a chord. They clearly resonated with you because there's a part of you that maybe knows you shouldn't have done that or you could have done that. And there was some truth to that.
Yeah. And that's why it hurts, right? Like that's why we get our feelings hurt. It's not because of something somebody said in feedback or in, trying to reflect back. I mean, even if somebody says something, I think of my own son. Like he comes home and he's upset. Oh, so and so said this thing, and I said, "Well, it can't hurt you if you don't believe it's true."
Right.
Of course, he kind of looks at me like I have 8 heads. So, like,
Right.
come back in a couple years. We'll figure that one out.
Yeah, but like it's really interesting when you start to dissect like why you're
Yeah.
upset about something, what triggers you, because when you could recognize that, it's so much easier to move through it. And moving through it is
Yes.
the key, right? You're never moving away from it, you're never moving around it, but moving through it. But the first step is to recognize, why is this even bothering me? Why is this even upsetting me in the first place?
Yeah. And I actually think so. Let's bring this right around to the point, which is I think this is totally applicable to clients who partake in our program,
Mm-hmm.
right? How many times do we see clients who run for the hills, that first feedback, that first dose of accountability, right? And I think this is what happens. It stings.
Yeah.
It is not fun. And so let's just like talk through an example, right? Like, okay, a client signs up, they're like, "Yep, I'm getting me a coach. They're going to provide me daily feedback, support, coaching, guidance, and accountability." Rock on. So they turn in their logs, they're going along, and all of a sudden one day comes along and their coach provides some feedback and some accountability and their feelings are hurt. What has happened, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, there's something in them that they recognize, that they know they can do better. They shouldn't have done whatever. Well, I don't even like the word should, but they're
Yeah,
hurt and they're upset and they're ultimately judging themselves.
that's it. That's it. Yeah, listen, I mean, we could definitely make this a very extended episode. It's not the whole of everything, right? Like it doesn't mean that every single piece of what you're feeling and believing is absolutely true. I think it's just a great opportunity to go, "Wow, this stings. There's something here I need to examine. There's some truth in here or at least some belief that there's something about me that needs looking at," right?
Hmm.
And I think it's really helpful when you understand, like, my daughter's favorite thing to say is, "You're so mean," or "She's so mean." And I'm like, wait, are they over there trying to harm you? Like, is somebody actually trying to physically or verbally hurt you?
Right.
Because that's mean.
Yes.
For the most part, when we are getting feedback or accountability, um, it's not because somebody's trying to hurt you. It's actually because they really care. Do you know how much it takes? Okay, let's flip the script, Adam. When you're offering feedback, really honest, caring feedback, how scary is it?
It's scary, but you know it's what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And ultimately, it's me trying to help them get what they want.
Right.
And it's this whole thing is so fascinating to me because people sign up all the time and they're like all the time I hear, this is the missing link. This is what I need. This is what I want. That accountability. And then for some people, when they get that first dose, they run away from it. But that's precisely the point. That's why it's working, because without that accountability, you don't have that moment of reflection. You don't have that moment of pain or discomfort. Because
Right.
when it's just you and yourself, it's too easy to just rationalize, right? I mean, not to sell the program here, but that's why it works.
Yes. Yes. And it's something you can get better at. But I do think it's really helpful that we kind of break this down and help people understand.
Yes.
Like, this is not anybody trying to hurt your feelings or make you feel bad. First of all, we can't.
Right.
We can only hurt our own feelings, as you so clearly pointed out. Um, but I think something that's helpful sometimes for us to get out of our own way when we're trying to work through that is to, I mean, think of others. Think of the person who gave you the feedback. How much gall did that take? Like that takes a lot of guts. Like I know there have been times if we want to flip roles in my example, right, with my husband. Um, there are times I'm like, oh my God, I know I have to say something. I know I have to say something. And I like feel like viscerally ill
Hmm.
because I want to offer feedback only because it improves our experience here at home. It takes a lot of bravery. So for me, if my feelings are hurt, right? I've received feedback. My feelings are hurt. And I'm having a hard time figuring out, okay, why are my feelings hurt? Did that person try to hurt me? No, they're being brave. They're trying to help me. Okay, that just gave me a little space
Yeah.
to detach a little bit and say, okay, maybe I need to look at this and see what's some fact in here and where am I layering on fiction and maybe like coming down really hard on myself. And I think that can kind of be helpful in moving through, especially if you're new to accountability and feedback, right? That first dose, those first couple of doses, they can be some big
Yep.
whammies, but you get used to it. You get better at it.
Yep. It's hard because in that moment, you're only thinking about yourself. But if you can say, wow, that person really cares about me, and almost thank that person for feedback,
Yeah.
it's hard because when I get feedback, again, of course it stings. It can sting, but like if someone takes the time out of their day to share something that they think I can improve on, that means they care. And they took the time
Mhm.
out of their day to care. Obviously, if you hire a coach, that's their job. But still, like I remind my kids all the time when their coach is quote unquote yelling at them. Sometimes I'm like, dude, they weren't yelling at you. They were just talking a little louder or they were just a little excited. But I'm like, when they're yelling at you in quotes, it's because they care. I love to see my kids' coaches pull them aside and tell them something because they care. As my basketball coach used to always tell me in high school, if I stop yelling at you, it means I don't care. And like I remember that forever because it's true. It's like if you don't care, you don't say anything.
Yeah.
So I try to put myself after I take a few minutes or however long it takes to process it and not react, but respond to the feedback. I try to put myself in their shoes and say, wow, thank you. Because especially if it's a stranger or a person who said something and,
Mm,
and it wasn't with the intent of being mean, right? They were just truly sharing feedback.
right.
Um, but yeah, I think when you're on a journey like health and fitness, which to me, and I think we can all agree, there's no better journey, there's no more worthwhile pursuit. It's going to bring up uncomfortable feelings. It's going to bring up truths that we might not want to face, but it just means we care. And if you're upset, it means you care. And there's two choices: either you can run towards it or run away from it. And we know what happens when you run away from it, right? You're just recoiling and you're hiding and you're kicking the can down the road. And that's why I always say, like, if you don't confront it, you're never going to conquer it. So you might as well face these feelings or these issues that are being brought up sooner than later. Because the sooner you do, the sooner you can move forward and through it versus just trying to, say, oh, you know what, I don't want to deal with this, or that person is annoying, or that person's killing my mood or ruining my mood, or like this isn't what I signed up for.
Right. Yeah. It is. It's actually exactly what you signed up for.
Right. And like again, obviously there's always a place, there's always a time, there's all sorts of ways to give feedback. I get it. But at the end of the day, when you realize the person who's giving you feedback wants nothing more than your success, sometimes more than you might want your own success, it makes it a little easier to step back and say, all right, you know what? I'm not going to let this sting as much. I'm going to look at it and see how I can learn from it and almost try to look at it as like you're a scientist and step away from it, right? Like let's say imagine the waves in an ocean. Instead of being the waves, try to be a bird flying over the waves and just notice them, observe them. Like, that's interesting. This is really bringing up uncomfortable feelings right now. Why is that? And try to turn towards them versus away from them.
I like it. All right. Anything else we need to leave them with?
A challenge.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
So my challenge for you is this week, when you get feedback from your coach or anywhere in life or someone says something, I want you to share with us what the feedback was and how you responded to it. And I want you to practice responding to it in a way that will ultimately help you become the person you want to be and get closer to where you want to be versus recoiling and hiding, which, as we know, again, does not lead us to where we want to go. So let us
Right.
know what triggered you and what you chose to do this time around versus maybe what your old 1.0 version of yourself would have done.
Sounds good, Adam. All right, guys, you have your marching orders. And until next time, take good care.